to be going through the story The Old Man at the Bridge by Ernest Hemingway. Okay, before I go into the story, let me give you a brief introduction about the writer and its background, a bit about it, information. So if you have your copies already, start taking down the points from here. So the first-hand experience of Hemingway in the two world wars enabled him to get a close and personal view of the horrors of war and its debilitating or weakening effect on human beings. Now, he had the experience of both these world wars. Now, because he had this experience, it enabled him to be a better war correspondent, and he had seen war in very close proximity, in very close quarters. He had observed war, and he had also observed how war weakens up the human beings and softens them up. Even the hardest of individuals, they soften up on seeing the brutality of war. So this is revealed in several of his works, like For Whom the Bell Tolls, A Farewell to Arms, On War, etc., etc. These are some of his famous works, and which are, of course, have war as their backdrop, or they are set up. These novels which he wrote, these books that he wrote, are extremely popular. So he is one of the predominant and very effective writers of modern fiction. Hemingway's works were very influential in drawing attention to the trauma that the soldiers suffered during, from and after the war. So from, during and after the wars, what kind of effect did it have on the soldiers? That is very well revealed in his writings. So his writings in a way help people to realize what was the effect of such wars on these soldiers, before, during, as well as after. So as you know, this particular piece that you have, it's a very small short story that you have, narrative. It is also set up in the backdrop of war, particularly the Spanish Civil War. Okay, so at the beginning of April 1938, Hemingway returned to Spain for the third time. Why? To cover the Spanish Civil War for the North American Newspaper Alliance or Association, NANA. He was covering there as a war correspondent. He had gone there. So he was here for the third time now. He was covering this particular Spanish Civil War. Now, what's a civil war? A civil war which is fought within the boundaries of the country. External war is something which a war which is fought with the foreign country. Okay, beyond the borders. But here in a civil war, there are two factions, two groups, two parties within the country itself, and they in turn are responsible for the battle or the fight that takes place. So that is the Spanish Civil War. Similarly in Spain, there were two factions. I'll come to that. The Spanish Civil War, which I was speaking of, was fought in from 1936 to 1939. And there were two groups between the loyalists or the left-wing Republicans. The loyalists or the left-wing Republicans, led by Manuel Azana, who supported the government of Spain. That was this part, one particular group. This is the loyalists. That is one group who fought against the nationalists or the fascists, who were led by General Francisco Franco and Joe San Giorgio. These were the other group. These were the fascists. They were the military rulers. They were military generals. So on one hand you had an elected government and its supporters. On the other hand you had the army. So that was the battle, the Spanish Civil War that we are talking about. Okay. On Easter Sunday, now let's come to the story. On Easter Sunday, April 17, as he was about to cross the Ebro River in search of the advancing fascist forces, Hemingway saw an old man sitting at the bridge at Ampota. When he returned to the bridge, the man was still there. Hemingway stopped and talked to him briefly. So this is the encounter that we will find in the story, the encounter that he had with the old man, wherein he stopped for a while, talked to that man, and then resumed back to his business. So that brief encounter is narrated over here. First appeared in Ken magazine on May 19, 1938, but later on published in the book The Fifth Column and the first 49 stories in 1938. So first it was published in Ken magazine on May 1938, and then later on in 1938 in his whole collection, The Fifth Column and the first 49 stories. That's the name of the collection of the book. The Fifth Column is Hemingway's only full-length play. He submitted the writing to Ken magazine to be published as a short story as compared to being used as a news article. Now, he was reporting, as I had already mentioned, he was reporting for the North American Newspaper Alliance. He could easily have transferred it to them, but he did not do that and present it as a newspaper report. Why? He wanted this brief encounter to be a very long-lasting one. He wanted this to be circulated as a story so that people would read it over and over again and enjoy its inner message. So that's why he gave it to Ken magazine to be published as a short story, not to be published as a news article as you would regularly have done. Okay, so that's another part of it. Next, the short story is a tale of human suffering which highlights the theme of war, violence, duty, kindness, and the trauma of displacement. So these are the basic themes of the story. You have on the one hand it's a tale of human suffering, which you will see, and it also highlights the theme of war, number one. Number two, violence is highlighted. Duty, which we see the correspondent doing, that is Hemingway himself doing. Kindness and the trauma of displacement. Now this is very similar to your poem After Blenheim, wherein you have the also these themes are being repeated. So when I will be discussing the text, I will be referring to it. You will understand. But basically, theme of displacement is when Caspar and his the family was the house was burned, and their families, Caspar's family's father, had to shift to a different place. Here also the same kind of shift is being spoken of. Okay. Now in the story you will have animals, as I have mentioned. You can see 2 goats, a cat, and 4 pair of pigeons. So cats here referred to, as you know, the famous saying, cats have 9 lives. So cats is a survivor. So all these animals are victims of war, mind you. So cats represent the most resilient creatures because it is autonomous and doesn't depend on others for its survival. It is a kind of self-sustaining creature. It can live on its own, like cats, dogs and all. So cat can also survive like that. This is also a solitary animal which can stay alive but won't necessarily. So cats are creatures that survive on their own, just like street dogs, stray cats, they survive. So it is a solitary animal which can stay alive but won't necessarily help others. So it's a solitary animal, it survives on its own, but mind you, it's not a very helpful kind of an animal, it won't help others. Pigeons and doves are symbols of peace. There are pigeons, and then later on towards the story it becomes doves, which are symbols of peace. And uncaged doves are symbols of hope. Doves will fly away, that is peace will fly away. In the story we will see the cage door is left open, the doves will fly away, that is peace will go away. Once there is war, peace cannot stay. So, if there was peace, then those doves would have stayed. But you will see in the story that the dove cage is left open and the doves will fly away, signaling the going away of peace. Next, the uncaged doves are, so that is why, symbols of hope also on the one hand. Now 2 goats, very important, refer to probably the narrator and the old man, both of whom will probably die. And he says it is better not to think of them. You will see the old man saying it is better not to think of the others. There are 2 goats significantly, and similarly there are 2 characters, the narrator and the old man. The narrator is a war correspondent and the old man is too old to go away. This war will probably result in the death of both of them. Why? War demands human lives. It's a kind of butchery of human lives, butchery of young blood. So here it's a tale of human suffering, wherein human beings suffer for no role of their own. Like for this example, let us see the narrator. The narrator is of course not a regular soldier who is going out to fight the war. He's just a war correspondent. Still he will be affected by the war. The old man, he will be affected by the war because he is there at the bridge and he might be affected by the war. Similar to people who stay near the borders and are referred to as collateral damage. What is collateral damage? People who live on the borders of Kashmir, suppose, and or near the Pakistan border. What happens when there is enemy shelling? Their houses are destroyed. Many of them die due to the injuries which they sustain, or they are killed. So these are people who are subject to collateral damage. That is, they are going to be sacrificed, or they are meant to be sacrificed. Similarly, battles, wars are fought wherein people will be sacrificed. It's a known fact. It's a taken for granted kind of a thing. So this collateral damage will be there. You know, in the Second World War, there was the bombing of Nagasaki, Hiroshima. Collateral damage. Those common people of the cities, they had no role to play in the war. They were not soldiers, but they were killed. Why? Collateral damage. You are an enemy. You are in enemy territory. You are an enemy civilian. You are my enemy. I am going to kill you. Collateral damage. So that's what is referred to. So in fact, they are, you can say in the English term, scapegoats of war. Okay. Now the bridge. This is a pontoon bridge. We'll see. Bridge symbolizes a path to safety, but also suggests that there will be times in a person's life when he may not be able to cross every bridge that comes his way. Very important. Bridge is a path. You see in the story, you will see the people crossing from one side to the other to safety. But it is not always that everyone gets the chance to cross the bridge and be on the safer side. Just as in this case, we will see the old man is not able to cross over and be on the safe side. He is in the danger zone. The narrator is a young man who is yet to be beaten down by life, in contrast to the old man who is beaten down by life struggles. So this is the young man, the narrator is a young man, old man is of course old. So he has the will to fight, he has lost the battle of life. He has been beaten by life. He still is ready, the narrator, young man, is ready to fight the battle of life. More importantly, so the young man who is a soldier is prepared to fight for the battle of life, which the old man seems to have given up. So the old man seems to have given up the battle of life. So symbolically, internally, it's not only about the Spanish Civil War, it was the war of life. In this war of life, the old man has fought strongly against the different hardships, the different sufferings of life. But ultimately, he has given up. Because we all know we are powerless against fate, we are powerless against destiny. But the young man says, no, I will try and make my own destiny. I will try to make my own world. And he is young, he has warm blood, he has fresh blood. He says, yes, I will fight out, I will try. And that is why he is ready to fight on. Just as young soldiers are ready to fight the battle of life. So here it's not only about the civil war, it's also about life struggles also in a way. Just as young people are ready to fight in the battle, they are ready to do something for their lives. But the elder experienced soldiers, they know very well war is decisions for war are taken by the people on top, the warmongers. They make the decision, but they do not fight. Who fights? These common soldiers, these common people. They are affected. The common soldiers get killed. They are handicapped. It is they who suffer. It is realized by the old and experienced people, but the young ones, they do not have that experience. Exactly why they suffer like this. Okay, so now we move on to the line by line text or explanation of the story. Line by line explanation of the story, The Old Man at the Bridge by Ernest Hemingway. So as it is written here, in your text, page number you can see it's 47, demonstrates the power of narrative art. How well he is able to narrate out the story, which is one of the features and one of the important characteristics of Hemingway. Hemingway takes a small, ordinary detail in a situation and through the art of storytelling transforms it into a powerful story about the tragedy of war. So it's a brief encounter. We can see an old man is met by the narrator who is a war correspondent, and that's the story or the poem about. Okay, and through the art of storytelling transforms it into a powerful story about the tragedy of war. So it is transformed into a great tragedy of war. The old man becomes a symbol of the countless civilian victims of war, those without politics, which I said in my earlier description, collateral damage, people who are without politics, people who are without any kind of political inclinations. Displaced, disoriented and alone, he is faced with the inevitability of death. So he is inevitably a character who is going to die. Not only he, but there are many others who die needlessly, even though they are not involved in any way in this political setup. Anyway, we come to the text. Old Man at the Bridge by Ernest Hemingway. Bridge here refers to the bridge between life and death. That bridge which many people have been able to cross over. So that's how they have been able to escape death. They will be alive. So an old man with steel rimmed spectacles. Now steel rimmed means in those days plastic was not so much in use. You had circular metal frame, somewhat like Mahatma Gandhi used. So steel rimmed spectacles and very dusty clothes sat by the side of the road. Also he has dusty clothes, is wearing dusty clothes, and by the side of the road he's sitting down. There was a pontoon bridge across the river. Now, pontoon bridge is a kind of a floating structure. It's a kind of a temporary structure, a bridge, where it's not possible or there's no time to build a permanent bridge. There they arrange for a temporary pontoon bridge based on hollow structures, as which helps for immediate transportation, immediate shifting of people and all that, just as we see here. So, and across the river, and that pontoon bridge was there, and carts, trucks, and men, women, and children were crossing it. That is literally everyone. Man, human beings, vehicles, animals, everyone was crossing over. The mule-drawn carts staggered up the steep bank from the bridge, with soldiers helping push against the spokes of the wheels. Now the wheels are made, the cart wheels are made of wood, as you know. If you have seen bullock carts, you have seen the big wheels made of wood. Now, because it's an upward ascent, if it is upward ascent for the bridge, the mules are unable to pull those carts or the heavy load that they have. So that's why the soldiers are helping to push against the spokes of the vehicles to help those carts to move over. The trucks ground up and away, heading out of it all. The trucks, of course, mechanized vehicles, they don't need that kind of support, so their strong engine helps them to move forward further across the bridge. And the peasants plodded along in ankle-deep dust. Ankles were dipped in dust. That means it was so dusty, their ankles were dipping in that dust. But the old man sat there without moving. He was too tired to go anywhere. The old man is a contrast to all this movement and activity that is taking place. He is calm and quiet. He is sitting there relaxed. He is not indulging in any kind of movement. So he is a static character. He is sitting there, but there is movement on the other side. Everyone is crossing over to the other side. It was my business, now the narrator comes in. My business to cross the bridge and explore the bridgehead beyond. Bridgehead beyond means up to that point, which he could see beyond that bridge. And find out at what point the enemy had advanced. How far the enemy, the fascists have advanced. That was his duty to see. So he was doing his duty. So the theme of duty being advanced here. I did this and returned over the bridge. So he did his analysis, did his surveying, all that he did, and then he returned back to the bridge. There were not so many carts now and very few people on foot. So most of the people had crossed over. A few people were slow, they were walking, and a few carts were going. But the old man was still there. The old man showed no sign of moving from that place. He was still sitting there. Where do you come from? I asked him. The narrator asked him, where are you coming from? From San Carlos, he said and smiled. Why did he smile? That was his native town, and so it gave him pleasure to mention it, and he smiled. Because he was mentioning his native town, the town from where he is born and brought up and lives. So that's why he smiles and says, I come from San Carlos. He smiled gently and said, I was taking care of animals, he explained. He says, I was taking care of animals. Now you will find here a sense of miscommunication often between the old man and this narrator. Okay, here you see, he had asked him about where he lives. He said San Carlos. Okay, fine, the chapter closed. But here again, out of context, he says, I was taking care of animals, he said. He explained. Oh, I said, not quite understanding. So they do not understand each other so much. Okay, they are not on the same wavelength. He doesn't understand his words. The narrator doesn't understand the old man doesn't understand the narrator too much. Yes, he said, I stayed, you see, taking care of animals. I was the last one to leave the town of San Carlos. So I was staying there, I was the last person to leave San Carlos, I was taking care of my animals. That means he was doing his duty also. Just as this soldier, this war correspondent here, he is also doing his duty of reporting everything that he has seen. So similarly, the old man also was doing his duty. So the sense of duty is highlighted here. He was the last one to leave. He did not leave. Just as in a ship, you know, the captain, he leaves the ship the last. After all the passengers have been saved, after all the crew members is saved, then he leaves. So he was doing his duty here. He did not look like a shepherd or a herdsman, and I looked at his black dusty clothes and his grey dusty face and his steel rimmed spectacles and said, what animals were they? So he looked at him and said, no, this man doesn't look to be a shepherd, he doesn't look to be a herdsman, he is not dressed up like that, he doesn't look at all like this, he is wearing dusty clothes, and the dusty clothes reveal he has travelled a lot, which we will see later on. So he is wearing steel rimmed spectacles and asked him, the old man, the narrator asked the old man, what animals were they? What were the animals that you were caring for? Various animals, he said, and shook his head. I had to leave them. Shook his head, why? He's sad. He's sad that he had to leave those animals. He couldn't bring those animals along. Just as people love their pets very much, so wherever they go, they take their pets along with them. Here this old man is sad. Why? He was taking care of those animals, but now he's unable to. He has come alone out of San Carlos, but he was not able to take those animals with him. I was watching the bridge and the African looking country of the Ebro Delta and wondering how long it would be before we would see the enemy, and listening all the while for the first noises that would signal that ever mysterious event called contact. And the old man still sat there. So he was watching the bridge and the African looking delta, the Ebro Delta, which he was observing. It's gives the resemblance of the African setup. It makes you think that it looks very much similar to the African countryside. So it was looking like that and wondering how long it would be before we would see the enemy. He's wondering what is taking the enemy so long that he cannot see the enemy. Number one, listening all the while for the first noises that would signal that ever mysterious event called contact. So the first signs of the enemy, the first sign when there would be the skirmish, the fight between both the sides, is waiting for that. He is eagerly anticipating that, because there is a sense of anticipation when that event will take place. When will that fight take place? When will that action take place? The old man still sat there. So the young man is full of excitement. He is eager to see when it is going to take place. When will that action take place? But the old man sat there. He is a calm and quiet and relaxed character. He has no intention of seeing all this, because in all probability he has seen all this long ago and for many times. What animals were there? I asked. Now he comes back to that topic which the old man had said and said, what animals were there? There were 3 animals altogether. Now 3 animals means doesn't mean 3 actually in the sense of 1, 2, 3. Here 3 means 3 groups. 3 groups of animals. And what are they? There were 2 goats, as you can see, and a cat, and there were 4 pairs of pigeons. So these 3 animals, 2 goats, animals of sacrifice, which makes us remember that this goat is actually, these 2 goats can in a way be symbolized as these 2 characters, the narrator as well as the old man. The narrator is trapped in a sense of duty. He cannot escape, he cannot go away. The old man, too tired to leave this particular place, so he is trapped. He cannot leave this particular place. So they are like those 2 goats which are trapped in a way. Okay. And a cat of course symbolizes a free spirit. It is a free character animal. It's a free spirited creature. So it refers to freedom. Freedom is at stake here. Until and unless this matter is resolved between the fascists and these left-wing and right-wing parties, until and unless the skirmish, the civil war ends a result, freedom is sacrificed. Freedom of the people is sacrificed. And there were 4 pairs of pigeons. Pigeons, later on it becomes doves. They symbolize peace. They symbolize peace. So these are the 3 categories of animals that he left behind. And you had to leave them, I asked. Yes, because of the artillery. Now artillery, you know, the shelling, the bombing, the cannon fire, those bullets and all those shells being burst, all that ammunition and all is referred to as artillery. So because of that artillery, shelling, bombing and all that, he had to leave, or he was rather forced to leave. The captain told me to go because of the artillery. So he was literally forced by the captain to leave the place. And you had no family? I asked. So he's asking, you have no family, but he's not paying attention to what he's saying. He watching the far end of the bridge where a few lost carts were hurrying down the slope of the bank. A few lost carts were hurrying down the slope of the bank. He's watching that and just casually he's asking him, you have no family. So he's asking him something but not paying attention to his answer. He is concentrated on what is happening there on the other end of the bridge, where a few lost carts were hurrying down the slope of the bank. Slope of the bank, they were descending down the bank. No, he said, only the animals I stated. He says, no, the old man said, no, I do not have any other family members. These animals were all the family that I had. The cat, of course, will be alright. A cat can look out for itself, but I cannot think what will become of the others. So he says, the cat, what do you think? He now wants to discuss with this war correspondent, that is the narrator. What do you think? What is your view about the animals? What do you think will happen to them? The cat will be able to look after itself. It's a self-sustaining creature, just like a street dog, a stray cat. They are able to look after themselves. So I am not worried about them. What do you think? It will be okay. And what do you think of the others? It is better not to think of the others, because the moment you think about them, several bad thoughts, several wrong thoughts will come about them. So it is better not to think about them, because they are all negative thoughts. On the other hand, when he thinks of the cat, there are positive thoughts. So because it will survive somehow or the other, so that positive aspect is there. But whenever he thinks of the doves or the pigeons or the goats, he thinks of them in terms of dead. So that's why he is thinking of them in terms of the negative. That's why he says it's better not to think about them. What politics have you? I asked. Now the narrator asks him, what politics you have? Means which party do you support? Whether you are the left wing or the right wing, whether you are the fascist or you are the persons or that group belonging to people who support the government. Which party do you support? I am without politics, he said. This is a very universal statement for all common people. Common people do not want to get involved in any kind of politics. You ask any common person, he will say, no, I don't want to be involved in any kind of politics. I want to be a free spirit. That is what every regular citizen of any country will say. They don't want to get involved in politics. No one does. But unfortunately, they are somehow absorbed, somehow they are taken in by this politics and all its functioning. So he says, I am without politics. I don't support any party. I am not in favor of any party. I am 76 years old. I am 76 years old. I have come 12 kilometers now, and I think now I can go no further. At this age of 76, I have covered or crossed 12 kilometers. I can go no more. Sorry. My energy is exhausted. So in a way it refers this 12 kilometers, it's a long journey. It can in a way refer to a long distance, the long journey of life. The long journey of life also is indirectly hinted at through those 12 kilometers. That means in this world, the old man has covered a lot of years, a number of years he has crossed. So he is without any more energy to fight out this journey of life. So he has literally covered the maximum journey of life. He cannot go anymore. This is not a good place to stop, I said. The narrator doesn't understand it. He says, this is not a nice place to stop, you know. If you can make it, you try to get up and walk a little, and there are trucks up the road where it forks for Tortosa. Forks means the road goes like this and then it bifurcates. It divides into two parts. Okay, two going into different directions. So they fork out for Tortosa. There is a fork opening wherein one road goes to Tortosa. You can take that route. I will wait a while, he said, and then I will go. Where do the trucks go? So the old man said, okay, he's giving me advice. Okay, I will take your advice. I will definitely go. But the narrator informed him that the trucks go to Barcelona. Now, this is a place which is unknown to the old man, and he says, I know no one in that direction, he said. But thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, what will the old man do if he goes to Barcelona? He knows no one there. If he goes to Tortosa, he knows no one there. So this highlights the theme of displacement. This highlights the theme of separation. Now, if you remember in the poem, After Blenheim, what happens? There, Casper's father's house is burnt. And as a result, there's a line that he has nowhere to hide his head. So that means he becomes a refugee. He has to be displaced. He moves over to a new place altogether. So, Why did that incident take place? It took place because of war. Here also, this old man is displaced from his hometown, which is San Carlos, where he has to go to some other place, maybe to Tortosa, maybe to Barcelona if he goes by truck and all. So what will he do there? It's a totally unknown place, it's a totally unknown people for him. And what is the reason for this displacement? Again, war. So war results in displacement, war results in separation of a person from his known setup. A home doesn't become a home, a house doesn't become a home just because a person has built it and lives in it with his family members. It becomes a home because of the neighborhood in which he lives, the people around who are known to him, the neighborhood which is very known to him, and that's why it becomes home and a very lovable place for him. But on the other hand, if you displace that person from that particular place, and no matter where you put him in, even if you put him in a better place than what he was in, he won't be able to be happy. Why? Because he is without his near and dear ones, his well-known neighbors and friends. He is without his known neighborhood. So that's exactly what happens here. That's why he says, I know no one there. What will I do in Barcelona? What will I do in Tortosa? I know no one there. That's what the old man questions. He looked at me very blankly and tiredly. Again, seeing miscommunication. He is unable to understand why this man is saying to me to go to Barcelona or to Tortosa. What will I do there? Miscommunication again. Just as the narrator is unable to understand his mindset with regard to the animals, the old man is unable to understand the narrator's mindset with regard to his explanation about going to Barcelona or Tortosa. So he looked at me very blankly and tiredly, then said, having to share his worry with someone. You remember I had told you earlier, a few lines ago, he was discussing about the cat and all, because he needs to share his worry with someone. So he has found a character, he has found here a character with someone whom he can speak to. So he says, the cat will be alright, I am sure. There is no need to be unquiet about the cat. What do you think? The cat will be okay. What do you think? There is no need to be unquiet about the cat. That means to be worried about the cat. Unquiet means to be worried about the cat. I don't think there is no reason to be worried about the cat. But the others means the goat, the pair of pigeons. What do you think? Now, what do you think about the others? What is your view? He asks the narrator. Why? They will probably come through it alright. What can the narrator say? The narrator, of course, cannot reveal the dark, harsh reality. He can say, no, they will be killed in that artillery shelling, or they will be eaten up, or they will die. He cannot say such harsh words. So he says, no, they will probably be okay. They will somehow survive. They will somehow pull through. That's what he says. That's what he says. They will probably come through. Come through means survive. You think so? Why not? I said. So the old man questions the narrator. Do you think so? Why not? I said. He says, yes, why not? Watching the far end where now there were no trucks. Now see here, he is saying this casually, without looking at the old man. He is looking where? At the far end now, where there were no trucks. But what will they do under the artillery when I was told to leave because of the artillery? He says there's going to be artillery shelling and bombing, all that. So they told me to leave. What do you think will happen to them? Now this is a question which is raised and which the story raises, which no one discusses. In wars, we have the figures of different human beings, numbers of people, soldiers being killed. There's no mention of the number of animals that is killed. No one records how many animals were killed, whether they are domestic, whether they are wild, whether they are stray animals. No one records their plight. Here that important question is raised. What happens to those animals? The animals again are innocent creatures who are sacrificed just because human beings fight among one another. So just because they fight with each other, that results in their displacement, their death, they being hungry and being starved. That's what these poor animals have to suffer from. So what will happen to them under the artillery when I was told to leave because of the artillery? Did you leave the dove cage unlocked? I asked. Yes. The old man says, yes, I left the dove cage unlocked. Then they will fly. He says, okay, then they will fly away. That means, which I said earlier, the dove symbolizes peace. And once the battle starts, once the war starts, what will happen? The doves will fly away. That is, peace will go away. Yes, certainly they will fly. But the others, it's better not to think about the others. So what remains? Others, cat is gone, pigeons, doves, they will fly away. Goats. And I had told earlier, about the narrator and the old man being sacrificed as animals or people who are caught in that web of war. They cannot escape, so they will die. And so that's why it's better not to think about them. If you are rested, I would go, I urged. Get up and try to walk now. He says, you have taken enough rest. The narrator said, now get up and start walking. Thank you, he said. He got on his feet, swayed from side to side, and then sat down backward in the dust. So he got up and he tried to walk, but he swayed from side to side and he was unable to move any further. And that's when he sat down in the dust. And what did he do? He couldn't go anymore. So he's a character who is presented to us as someone who has kind of lived his life, the end of his journey, we can say, in a way. Why? He is not able to go anymore. He is probably going to die here. I was taking care of animals, he said dully, but no longer to me. I was only taking care of animals. Now see, he is speaking to himself. I was taking care of animals, I was taking care of animals. There was nothing to do about him. That is, such people, when they do not leave that particular place, they are going to die. So this old man who is going to stay at that place will in all probability die. There is nothing that the narrator can do. That's what he says. I cannot do anything for him. If he cannot walk, if he cannot leave this place, what can I do? It was Easter Sunday. Now Easter Sunday, Christian festival, you know, the third day after the burial of Jesus Christ, the resurrection of Jesus Christ, when he came and he gave, he was cited by his disciples and his loved ones. So it was Easter Sunday and the fascists were advancing towards the Ebro. This is the irony. Irony why? Where there is a message of hope, Easter Sunday, the message of hope, peace and love in the form of Easter Sunday given by Jesus. You have the fascists, the army marching in towards the Ebro. So, the contrary, the irony is here, where there should be a propagation of the message of love, peace, there is war. So, the irony is the Easter Sunday, symbol of peace, love and hope by Jesus, propagated by Jesus, but contrary to that, human beings have never listened to any such religious leader of any religion you take it, and indulged in battles and wars and fights. So here also the same thing, the battle is going to take place. It was a grey overcast day with a low ceiling, so the planes were not up. There was a grey overcast day, that means there was a cloud cover, and because of this cloud cover, low ceiling means the clouds were very low, and because the clouds were very low, in such cloudy atmosphere, it's very difficult to fly the planes. You have seen it during winter days, there is mist, there is fog, so the flights are delayed. Or when there is too much of clouds, the flights are delayed or they are cancelled. So the same case here also, when there is such a big cloud cover, the planes will not be able to sight the targets below, where to bomb, where to put in the shells. They won't know. So that's why due to this cloud cover, the flight of those artillery planes have been cancelled. That and the fact that the cats know how to look after themselves was all the good luck that the old man could ever have. So all the good luck that the old man could ever have was this, that the planes were still not up. That means the bombing, the shelling of the artillery had not yet started, number one. Number two, the cat is an animal which can look after itself. These are 2 points of hope, these are 2 points of relief for the old man, which will console him. And that's all the consolation, that's all the good news that could be given to the old man. So that's how the story ends. I hope you have understood the story as far as I have tried to explain to the best of my abilities. And if so, of course, like and share this video and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your love and support.